You don't expect the world to turn upside down because you walked into a restaurant to eat. You don't expect strangers to rise from their chairs and stare like you don't belong. You don't expect to be touched, shoved, and humiliated with phones recording and no one lifting a finger to stop it. But that was exactly what happened to Maya Daniels on a quiet Saturday afternoon in Manhattan, and what none of the staff knew, what none of the people smirking at her humiliation realized, was that someone in the corner booth had stopped chewing, stopped speaking, stopped blinking. Beyoncé was watching. Maya had come alone, work bag over her shoulder, coat folded across her arm, soft gray sweater and dark jeans. Nothing loud or flashy. She chose a window seat, placed her phone down, and waited for a menu. But the waitress never came. Others were being served, laughing, getting drinks, ordering entrees. She sat there invisible. At first she thought nothing of it. Maybe they were short-staffed. Then she heard it. A whisper, not quiet enough. Why is she even sitting here? Tables reserved. She looks lost. Someone should move her. She looked up. The hostess and a waiter were staring directly at her. Lips curled with annoyance like she was ruining their decor. Maya spoke gently. "Excuse me, could I please eat a menu?" The waiter didn't move. He looked at the hostess and scoffed. "She's not dining here. Ma'am, that window seat's not for walk-ins." Maya blinked in disbelief. "I was just seated. Nobody told me that. I'm telling you now." He gestured for her to stand, like a teacher dismissing a child. Maya stayed seated, voice still polite. "I'll wait for a manager." That one sentence changed the air. The hostess stepped closer, face tightening. "No, you need to leave. Now." People started turning their heads, not to help, to watch. Maya's throat tightened, not with fear, but with that familiar burn of public degradation. She gathered her bag slowly. Then it escalated. A man from behind the counter came around and placed his hand on her arm to yank her up. The room went silent. Her chair scraped back as he pulled, and she staggered to her feet. Her mouth open, no sound. Gasps broke out. A phone camera lifted. The manager appeared, voice cold and theatrical. "You were asked to leave. This is private seating. If you don't go, we'll call security." She hadn't raised her voice. She hadn't cursed. She hadn't demanded anything except basic service. But now the whole place was watching her be treated like a trespasser. And on the far left corner, behind tinted sunglasses and a wool coat, back turned just enough to blend but still fully aware, Beyoncé's hand stopped mid-motion above her tea. She watched. She listened. She didn't intervene yet. Maya stood there, trembling but composed. "I did nothing wrong." The manager smirked, mocking. "You did. You sat where you don't belong." That word, belong, landed like a slap. Maya took a breath, clutching her bag strap with white knuckles, eyes glassy but unbroken. The waiter waved her toward the door, like she was trash to be cleared. Half the diners pretended not to see. The other half recorded. She walked toward the exit, spine straight, face burning, humiliation pressing in like heat from all sides. But before she could reach the door, a soft murmur started spreading across the tables. "Is that? Wait, look, oh my God!" Phones lowered with sudden fear and confusion, because Beyoncé's chair moved. She placed her napkin down. She stood up, and without a word yet spoken, every employee who laid a hand on Maya suddenly went pale. They finally realized who had been watching everything. Beyoncé didn't rush. She didn't shout. She simply walked, quiet, deliberate, queen-like, straight toward the entrance where Maya stood frozen, one hand on the door. The restaurant turned into a graveyard of silence. The manager, who had been puffed with self-importance moments earlier, now looked as if the floor had vanished under him. Beyoncé stopped beside Maya, not behind her, not across the room, beside her, shoulder to shoulder, as if to say without words, "You are not alone." Maya blinked, stunned. She hadn't seen who was watching. Beyoncé turned her head slowly to the manager, voice low, calm, deadly clear. "You put your hands on a paying guest. On camera. In New York. Do you understand what you just did?" The manager tried to swallow an excuse. "She wasn't. We thought that seat was..." Beyoncé cut him off without raising her tone. You humiliated a woman in public because you decided she didn't belong, and you laid hands on her. That's not a policy mistake. That's who you are. Employees shrank back. Some staff who had been laughing now stared at the floor. Beyoncé gently touched Maya's wrist. Not a pull, not a comfort, just enough to anchor her in reality. Then Beyoncé shifted her gaze past a manager toward a man standing at the bar in a tailored coat, mid-50s, holding a drink with shaking hands. The owner. He looked like he had just realized he was watching his company die in real time. Beyoncé didn't need to raise her voice to annihilate a reputation. You own this place, correct? He nodded stiffly. Then this is your culture. He opened his mouth, closed it again, sweat forming. Beyoncé looked around at the room full of frozen diners. Every phone recording here just captured how you treat women when you think no one with power is watching. The owner took one step forward, frantic. Ms. Knowles, please. We'll calm her meal. We'll apologize publicly. She didn't blink. You think this is about a meal? His voice cracked. We can fix this. No, Beyoncé said softly. The internet will. And that was the sentence that cracked the room open. Half the diners who had been afraid to speak now lifted their phones higher, on purpose. No more pretending, no more hiding. The hostess who had mocked Maya earlier began to cry. The waiter who pulled her arm backed away, hands shaking. The manager looked like he might collapse. Beyoncé turned to Maya, tone shifting, protective, honoring. You don't leave through that door humiliated. You walk out as the woman they will answer to. Then she faced the owner. You're going to take her statement. You're going to put in writing who touched her. And you're going to issue a public apology with names, not excuses. The owner nodded violently. Yes, of course, immediately. Someone rushed to pull out a chair for Maya. The same restaurant that threw her out now treating her like royalty because someone powerful said so. But Maya didn't sit. She looked at Beyoncé, still processing the unreality of what was happening, and whispered, "Thank you." Beyoncé's response was low and final. Don't thank me. They thanked me when they chose the wrong woman to humiliate. Then Beyoncé turned and walked out the door as quietly as she came, not waiting for applause, not posing for cameras, leaving the whole building in stunned disarray. Maya remained standing, no longer the woman being removed, but the woman the city now watched with respect and fear. By evening, the restaurant's name was trending. By morning, the video had millions of views. By noon, the staff who touched her were fired, the manager was suspended, and a legal statement was issued. And in every clip shared online, the most chilling moment was the instant people realized who was watching before she stood up. The restaurant froze. Every phone was up now, not because a celebrity was in the room, but because a celebrity was watching justice happen in real time. The manager stood stiff, chest rising and falling too fast, as the owner, who had rushed down from upstairs after a single whisper of the name Beyoncé, faced him. Tell me again, the owner said slowly, voice trembling with contained fury. Why, you kicked her out? The manager swallowed. He tried to speak, but his excuses came out small and pathetic under the weight of public eyes. I thought she was... You thought? The owner cut in sharply. Was enough to humiliate a paying customer? In front of witnesses? In front of her? He pointed gently in Beyoncé's direction, without daring to make full eye contact. The manager tried to defend himself, stuttering through a mess of half-sentences. The owner didn't let him finish. Take off your badge, he said. Silence. The manager blinked. Sir, please, Right now, in front of everyone. Hands trembling. The manager unclipped the badge from his chest. Hand it to the woman you threw out. The owner ordered. The room gasped. The manager turned slowly toward the woman. He couldn't lift his head. She didn't even reach out. The badge had to be placed awkwardly into her palm as silence stretched like a rope around his neck. Then the owner turned to her, voice softer, not from kindness, but from fear. Ma'am, our restaurant publicly apologizes. On camera. Whatever you say, we will post on our official page. Right now. She looked around the room. at the faces, at Beyoncé quietly watching, at a room that once ignored her humiliation but was now worshiping her presence. Then she spoke, clearly, steadily. Post this. People deserve dignity before you know who they are. If respect only appears when power enters a room, it is not respect, it is fear. Phones caught every syllable. The owner nodded to his staff with urgency. The apology was uploaded instantly to the restaurant's verified page. Within seconds, phones buzzed around the room, comments flooding in faster than breath. Boycott this place. Disgusting behavior. Beyoncé was there? Fire all of them. The restaurant's rating began collapsing in real time, from 4.9 to 3.2 to 2.1. The manager, now unemployed and publicly branded, tried to leave quietly, but the owner stopped him. No, you leave through the same entrance where you kicked her out. Let the world see. The manager walked the longest 5 meters of his life, past the same doors he once slammed in her face. Now watched like a criminal in a parade of shame. Beyoncé stood slowly. She walked to the woman, not to make a spectacle, but to seal a truth with a sentence. You didn't need me to defend you. You just needed the world to see what they are. Then she placed her hand softly on the woman's shoulder and whispered, "Power doesn't change people. It exposes them." The woman didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply stood. Finally seen, finally unshaken, while the restaurant around her collapsed under the weight of its own arrogance. That night, the restaurant shut down its page for maintenance, but screenshots never go away.